All right, so episode 16, finally, back in the swing of things again. It just took a while to get some parts and to figure out the direction where the channel was going and what the viewers want to see, what you guys want to see. But I think we should be back online again. Now, I have to mention first, I did get a new microphone. I tried it. It's terrible. It was an expensive unit. It was, I think, €55. It's just not the microphone for me. So we're going old school. We're using the phone mic, and you'll just have to have a bit of patience for a week or two. But hopefully I'll get that set up soon. And for the time being, I'll just export the audio in mono. So hopefully that'll work. You know, as mentioned before, it's not it's not critical mono. You know, in terms of left right, it's just information. So hopefully it'll be okay. But yeah, great to be back. And as I said, it's been a while. Now, I have got a lot more parts to show you. So there's a lot of videos planned this week. Hopefully, I'll get one out every evening and starting with this one. But just to say again, thanks to all the subscribers, the new followers. There has been a lot of comments and emails that the views are way down. They should be more than they are. Look, they are what they are. Um, this channel isn't for monetization purposes. It's not going to make money. I know that. The parts are expensive. People will say, you know, that they're easy obtained, they're common parts. They're not. It's actually very hard to buy them. Um, Not hard to buy them, but just hard to source interesting parts. Like the DFV head is finally on the way. I think it's in Ireland now, but it takes a lot of work getting the parts. Again, if you buy from the UK, this whether you've got import tax, so it all adds up, you know. But I'm not going to bore you with channel financial details, but it takes effort. That's all, which you know, and I'm not looking for sympathy, but it is what it is. I think there was one guy there last night was asking what the channel has earned, and to date, I think with I've no idea how many views. There's 50,000 on the spark plug, 50,000 on the pneumatic valve train, and whatever else on the rest. I think in total for the first 4 months it was just sitting on 19 cent, and I've got an update last night that the account balance from AdSense with total views is now €105. So that'll give you an idea if you're starting a channel. Um, Again, they're super cool parts. You know, like if a lot of people knew more about the channel, it'll probably do way better. But it's never going to be the comedic, you know, channel of, you know, go out to Dubai and look at Formula One cars and all that. It's just going to be on the bench discussing hardcore engineering. That's where I am. That's, I guess, where you guys are. That's why you're watching. But it is what it is. So anyway, moving on from all that, this is a wishbone from a BMW FW34, and that year was, let me think, it was 2012, I think 2012, 2013. So as you saw on the other video, the push rod video, um, they now make suspension parts from carbon fiber, obviously, for the last long time. You know, one time they used to be TIG welded, whatever, 4130 steel, but now they're carbon fiber and titanium generally, or a mix of both. Um, so this one here is kind of special. I did a lot of searching for this wishbone because it's got the most technology inside it, let's call it that. Um, it's got a spherical rose joint here on the hub carrier. Just to explain, this is from the rear of the car, the left hand side of the car. So that'll be the front of the car up there. This is the hub carrier. This would bolt to the gearbox, and the car would travel that way. And this is the lower wishbone. So getting back to its construction, the carbon fiber you see here is not actually anything to do at all with the wishbone. This is strictly for aerodynamics. So when the car is driving forward. This is just to decrease drag on the wishbone parts. So when I bought this, I bought it blind, like all parts. I knew from talking to an engineer in BMW that this wishbone incorporated a lot of different technologies inside it, which we'll get into in the next part of the video when I pause it, as usual, 20 minutes in. But it incorporates the most, what would you call it, innovative technologies within the wishbone before they all move to a different type of design. So hopefully this should show all the design features and whatever you want to call it. So an overview of the wishbone first. The reason I bought this, and I knew it was special, so you've got the wishbone here, bolts the car here at the front and on the back. You've got wires, you've got a brake pipe which goes in here, across here, and up here, and out here, which you should hopefully see there. It's got a load of wires for sensors. It's got the tethers, two, one for this one for this arm, and they bolt onto the gearbox here and here. So what you can't see probably on the video is or what got my eye and why I knew the BMW engineer was correct. So you've got 4 wires in, so we've got 2 here and 2 here, but we've only got 3 out. So that was kind of cool when I saw that. You're probably wondering as well what all these are. So these are just temperature stickers. So when the car, these are mainly for when the car is in the pits or when it comes back to the pit. Just what temperature the wishbone structure has been subject to. Now, as you know, the brake hub would lie here, the hub and the brake would lie here, so that would be fairly hot. The engine would be here in gearbox, so that would be a bit cooler. But out here, they need to monitor the temperatures, so that's what these are for. So these just stick on. They're from Thermax. They're a standard enough part. They're just a thermal sticker. They go onto the surface and they work with the wax. So there's, let's just go really simple. This is like a tissue paper on top behind the sticker. There's different wax inside, and the wax melts at different temperatures. So if you've got, let's say this is 160 C, this wax would melt at that temperature, so it would then seep into the tissue paper above it and cause this to go dark. So you can see it here. I'll just move this now. This might be a bit noisy for moving around because there's a lot of stuff hanging off it, but so you can see the ones at the brake side. So this one here has registered, this is an A, B, C, they're just different ranges. So this one here, obviously 37 degrees, it's probably near ambient, depending on where the car was raced, but these are all gone grey, and it's just starting to go grey here. So this part here has reached 71 degrees centigrade, and these ones are all unmarked. Again, this part here, these are all gone grey, and this one is just touching 170. So if we move in here, where there might be exhaust temperature or gearbox temperature from the oil and from the horsepower going through it, you can see this one here is a C. So this C here has nothing. This C here is just registering 116 degrees. So these are used once, you put them on, and they just give you an idea of what's going on. So how they work, I can demonstrate that very easily. Now what I'm going to do is just do a quick demo here how these work, and pause the video, take off all this fairing, and show you the inside where all the cool stuff is. But if I just take a simple soldering iron, which is this one here, you all know these, And if I put, hopefully, as I said, I'll just leave that there for a sec. As I said, these videos are done live, so this may not work at all. If I take a bit of grease like that and just rub it on the iron there, and getting to my plug ready, and if I wrap that around the iron and plug it in, so you should hopefully see how the sensors work. So the end goal is that the grease would melt and leach into the brown paper. So let's see how that works. Hopefully it does. Again, this is the same technology in these stick-ons here, but it's just wax. So I can feel it getting slightly warm in my hand now. Now it has leached a small bit, but that's fine. But let's just see, will it go all the way in? Yeah, so you can see it going in there and leaching in. Now I want to just plug it out again before it gets too hot. But that's basically how they work. You can see it's leaching in there well, and again resembling how these work. So fairly simple demo and should explain it fairly well. So that's that. Now this fairing here is just, as I said, strictly aero. It's a nice carbon fiber construction. It took a long time to take it off and figure out how it was on there. Again, these sensors on the bottom as well. I spent a few hours figuring out how it was put on, how it's bonded on there, which had to be all cut and not destroy everything underneath, and just to get it separated. But hopefully when we get a few minutes more into the video, it should be very clear how it's put on. But what I'll do now is pause the video, take this off, show you how this was made, show you all the internals inside here, and go from there. Alrighty, talk in a sec. Okay, so the outer aero casing was removed. This is carbon fiber, as mentioned. Now this is made in a mold, top side and bottom side, and the airbag or the vacuum bag inside. You've probably seen this before if you're into carbon fiber, and if you look back at the push rod video which I did before, you'll understand how this was made. Now again, simple enough part, very light, but there's a slight difference with this part in that when they were making this part, at the parting line here, this part is split, so it's all one part. It continues around there and around here, right here, but it's split on the parting line here. So what you would do there is just put in Captain tape, which is a non-stick tape where the carbon won't bond to each other. You can see the bond line there, so that hasn't been cut, it's just not bonded. I mean, it's the perfect form. So if you were to slice this, you'd notice you know, a whatever 3 mil wide or 1 mil wide disc width, but it was laid up just on the parting line, not bonded. So the reason I did that, it's done here also. Now this is where I damaged it because it was an absolute bear to take off. The reason I did this, of course, was to put it onto the wishbone. So it goes on that way, and it's then bonded on. They'd put on all the tethers, the wires, they're all taped on. This is put on and it's bonded on. So you can see the bonding agent. Let's just see where it is exactly. Yeah, so you can see the bonding agent there. So this is just squeezed in here with a nozzle and injected in, and it bonds to the titanium or carbon fiber parts, which we look at the moment. Again, it's here, so there's 3 or 4. It's hard to open this now, I don't want to crack it. There's 3 or 4 bonding areas where they just put in, you know, dots to stop it moving around. Again, this would all be bonded on a jig so that it's in the correct place aerodynamically and not in the wrong place. This little recess area here is where the end goes into the hub carrier carbon fiber cover too. So it all has to be in the right place and fit exactly. Where you can see the bond areas here too, here, and here. Probably easier actually show you on this. Here, and here. So they all had to be cut. This parting line first was bonded too, then afterwards. So that had to be cut with a blade, not cutting all the wires inside or the tethers. So it was an absolute bear to take off. It took probably, I'd say, 4 hours to just take off that part, but well worth it for what we see inside. So I think we've got that part covered. Again, simple enough. If you want to know anything about that, comment section, just drop me a question. I'll answer any questions. But that's that. Slides on that way. A bear to put on, a bear to take off, especially when it's bonded. But let's leave that aside. So onto the wishbone. Now I've already cut this wishbone here. You can see that section has been taken out. We'll get onto that in a second. So these tethers here, as you know, they were introduced, I think, there's a long one and a short one. Let me get them right. So the long one goes here along the hypotenuse, and the short one goes there. So these tethers are made from Kevlar, pure Kevlar strand. There's about, I don't know what, 400 strands, and within those strands there'd be maybe 100, so you've got like, I don't know, 4,000, just plenty of. They're done like a wire rope in construction. They're brought back here and what will I call it, laced up, wrapped, and they're very strong. So they stop, if the car is involved in a crash, they stop the wishbone parts or the wheel or the hub carrier entering the cockpit or flying off the car and entering the cockpit of someone traveling behind the car. So they were introduced, as said, I'm not sure what year, probably after Ayrton Senna was killed, maybe, I don't know. But that was the cause of his accident. As you know, the front wheel, hub carrier and push rod came back. The push rod entered the cockpit, entered the helmet, and that was that. So these stop all those parts from flying around, and they're very light and very strong. Not that exciting as a part, but key to wishbone design now in Formula 1 cars. And they normally sit in a groove there like that, so they push in there, so they're fairly slim. So I think that covers those. Now they're wrapped onto the wishbone assembly before the outer cover's put on. It's all taped up with blue tape. You can see the tape here. Now that's my tape, just keeping this sensor in place here, which we'll cover in a minute. But you can see the tape here, taping the brake line, various wires just in place to stop them moving about while they're bonding them. So if we look at the brake line, it's nothing spectacular, a normal brake line, titanium fittings on the end, anodized, heat-proof cover. There's like a rubber coating on it just for anti-chafe, and the usual braided line on the outside, which again, nothing special, so you can see it there. And this is capped just to stop dirt getting in. So the sensor wires, there'd be ABS, there'd be thermals, there'd be various monitoring wires. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but they go out to the hub carrier out there, and on the inboard, obviously they'd connect then to the gearbox junction box, which would be in here. That's upside down, so the car goes that way, and this is the left hand side. So as I said, this has been sectioned like that. I just cut this. This is all titanium, machined from one billet into here, roughly about there. So like it would be just a bear to machine this. I know some machinists have been watching this channel just from the comments, and like if you were machining this from titanium, first of all, the cost of the billet, the cost of the tooling, what can go wrong. Titanium is particularly hard to machine because it's got very poor thermal conductivity, and what tends to happen is all of the heat will stay. If your cutter generates heat, all the heat will stay beside the cutter and kill your cutter very quickly. So it's not pleasant to machine titanium, but that's what this part is. So again, all this is one unit, comes into here and ends roughly about there. You will see a different color on the carbon fiber there to here. This is wrapped with just a single directional carbon fiber around here just to stop it bursting. Now if you look back at the pushrod video as mentioned, you'll see why that is, but it's just got more, it has to be wrapped here tightly because it's under the most stress, but the rest of it is kind of standard manufacturing. Now what I did like about this compared to the pushrod, I cut a section out of there as mentioned, and you will see on this one here, if you look back at the other video, which was just machined in here in a single draw out here, this one is stepped, which is nice for a lot of reasons. Because one reason is it puts all the stress equally into the outside, into the middle, into the interlayer, and into the inside. So that's a very nice design feature there. The other bonus to machining it like this is when you're installing this insert in here, if you just have it all one size with no taper, if you apply the bonding agent here and here and the outside of the titanium part, you tend to scrub off all the adhesive when you push in the insert. But in this case, because they're all step layers, when this layer here is passing by here, it doesn't scrub the adhesive off here. So you've got a nice very rigid bond area. So just let's zoom in there. You can see it pretty well there. Now there is just an air hole here just to let out air pressure. Now I have got parts here which I'll show you. So this is another example not bonded into a wishbone. This is a wishbone end of a different car. Again, machined from titanium. Spectacular part, absolutely spectacular. Like, can you imagine machining that? So the rose joint will go in here, and it's threaded there, and you've got a little area here just to stake it over to stop the rose joint on threading. But just beautiful part. Like, this is what, 1 mil thick. You can see the machining marks in there. I mean, like, if I was machining that part, I'd spend probably €500 on a titanium block first, €500 on cutters, and €500 on cigarettes, and everything would be gone at the end. But just amazing, you know. But these holes here then they're worth mentioning, which I can show you in another part, which is a flexure, which we'll get onto in a second. So this would be an end similar to this end here. So you'll see these little holes here. Now there, for when you insert a carbon fiber part in here, you would prime this here, and you would put adhesive on it. You would also do the same to the push rod, the carbon fiber push rod. Push it in, and these holes are allow air to escape. Because if you don't have those, you'll push the push rod in here, the air pressure will build in here, and it will force the epoxy back here, the epoxy or the adhesive, whatever you want to call it. It'll force it out with air pressure and stop it getting in here down into the deep end. Again, this is machined from solid titanium and bead blasted. Like, look at that for a part. Something else. I measure this with the calipers. This is approximately 3.4 millimeters, just this wall here. So you'd be going down there with a 3 mil bit, probably 50 mil deep, like something else. But yeah, that's that. So these are, just in case anyone doesn't know, these are flexor joints. Now, not to be confused with the word flexure, which is a different thing, but flexure is how it's pronounced. So these work by just bending. So this area here bends. There's no rose joint, and these were invented, I do believe, by John Bernard in, I think, 92 to 94. He was in Maranello with Ferrari at the time, and he obviously got a brainwave one day that these rose joints here on the end, so that's a rose joint, you all know those, they swivel like that. Normally there's one of these inboard, and the wishbone can pivot like that, but John came up with the idea that actually you could just make it like this, so that the titanium, this is titanium, the titanium would just bend, it would flex. This would be bolted onto the monocoque, and there would be a bulkhead in here. Now I don't know, is this front or rear? If it was front, there would be a bulkhead just forward of the driver's legs, just for strength, and there'd be hard points bonded into the carbon honeycomb sandwich, and it will all bolt in there. So this flexes, so there's no need for a rose joint. Now, getting rid of rose joints has a lot of features and benefits. Number one, they're, as you know, a rose joint is susceptible to heat and stiction. And now heat not really that important, but stiction, it can just set in one position and lock if the heat does change or thermals change, and just provide a bit of stiction like that. But these are just as you design them, and they can flex away like that. Now they have got a finite service life, so they need to be watched, but what a cool idea, you know. Again, not, I mean, their flexors are around for a long time. A simple example would be a leaf spring in a car, or a truck, where the suspension is allowed to pivot through the leaf spring, and the what would I call it? The center bolt would keep the axle then in place, the differential housing, but similar principle. Leaf spring, what else? Oh geez, I can't think of anything now, but you know, they're a cool feature. Basically a spring, but very clever, and gets rid of another part, which will be this one here. So moving on to the wishbone. As you see, this is a flexure here again, not unlike this. Now at the time, Williams BMW were just getting into flexure design, and they used it just on the front. This here on the rear has still got a rose joint. The rose joint would be, it will go here in the middle and be bolted to the gearbox, but again, simple triangle geometry. This one would bend, this one would have more motion, so they figured they need the rose joint there, and this one could just be a flexure, but something else, you know. Moving on to something else I found, and getting back to why there's 4 connectors here and only 3 at the end. So they've installed, hopefully you can see this, this is one for the electronic engineers that view the channel. I know there's a lot from the comments. So this is carbon fiber, and they've installed, hopefully it'll pick it up. Yeah, so have a guess what this is. Some of you will know, some of you won't, but when I took this apart, this was all embedded in like a potting epoxy. You can probably just see the trace there, that wide, and it went all the way around to the other side, so it was from here to here, so about 35mm wide. It was extremely hard to take off without damaging the sensors, but I managed to do it in the end. And again, the junction box here was also covered with this epoxy. Like, it was like a glass, I'm going to say a glassy rubber consistency, but it was incredibly hard to take off. I got, I think it was, the name won't come to me. It's an acid for taking, for doing R&D on chips. On you've seen some microchips on a circuit board where it's just a black blob, and that's done for cost. They just put the chip on the board. I think it's called COB. The chip is mounted directly on the board, and it's just covered with a blob of epoxy. So it was similar stuff, but these are strain sensors. Hopefully it'll focus. Come on. Yeah. So you can see there, the one on the right has got the traces going vertically, and the one on the left has got them going horizontally. Like, these are tiny now, so yeah, you should just about be able to see it there. So these measure what stress is present in the carbon fiber arm here, or the tie rod, let's call it that. Now they're both sides. So if I flip this over and show you these ones, which will hopefully focus. Let's go right in. So yeah, there you go. So the one on the left is vertical, and the one on the right is horizontal. Now, ironically, these measure, the one on the left measures stresses this way, so left to right, and the one on the right measures stresses in the Y direction, let's call it that. So without getting too into it, these are resistive sensors, and as the traces bend or move closer to each other, the resistance, so you can see them both there very well, the resistance changes compared to how these like they're literally tiny. I think they're 3mm square. So as the traces get closer and farther away from each other, the resistance changes, and it can measure stress. Sorry, just trying to focus now. So hopefully You can see them there. Now I know in the comments there'll be a lot of talk about those, but just to show you how they're wired. Now on the bottom one, there appears to be a ground trace around them for shielding. If you just look at that very carefully, you can see a ground trace going around there. Around there, you can just see a tail off there. Now, I'm not going to call it a mistake, but it looks a bit untidy. But it goes up there and returns then again up here. And again, the junction box is there. They appear to be just wired in like what I will call a bridge rectifier type circuit, kind of in serial. I didn't do a huge amount of research into these, but there's no real need. I mean, I'm not getting into, it's not going to be electronics channel, but those who know what they're looking at will know what they are, and those who want to know will find out what they are. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. But I think that more or less covers the wishbone. So again, very cool part. A lot of hidden stuff. I'm going to go over all these pipes, so don't worry about you know what's missing about the brake lines. I'll go over all these again, all the fittings, the insulated material, the Kevlar anti-chafe material. But that's just a wishbone. But very cool. I mean, you know, like, look at that. Something else. All to just drive a car quick around the track. So the good news is I'm going to put all this wishbone back together, and it will be for sale in the Buy Me a Coffee page under commissions. This part here is also for sale. Beautiful part, you know, titanium. You're not going to see many of these, and this part is also for sale. Again, you know, I'm not going to sell them for huge money. They're going to be cheap, but it's just to get a few quid in for the channel and keep everything going. So the next video is going to be, as mentioned, the piston squirter, which I've been to do for ages, and it's pretty much almost done in terms of CAD, just to do the live video. So hopefully that covers everything. Good to be back, and chat soon. Take care.